employment during this monsoon season also. They should identify, we have 260 approved works. Easily it can be identified what work can be provided, under NAREGA. That special provision they must use during this period. I think many state governments are doing that. And also another issue, in many places, flood will be there. The flood and COVID, can you imagine if both happens? Like Kerala, there was a flood the last time, and now the COVID is also there. And one side you are talking about the social distance, others. So these kind of issues are there. So lots of work will be there how to plan on this kind of things. A wise planning is required at district level and block level on this. And from MGNRE, number of work has to be increased. This is what this is my personal opinion.
Thank you, sir. So now next question is for Ashwak Malek. He's been asked, this question is to Professor Vijay Kumar, sir. Since there is a large impact like socio-economic impact on livelihood in the rural sectors, what is the suggestion that we may provide to rural people under the circumstances which is pertaining right now? Vijay, sir, the question is to you.
Yeah, very good question the participant has raised. So here, if you see the socio-economic impact of the livelihoods, particularly after this COVID-19 lockdown and all, post-lockdown situation also, everyone is dependent on employment availability at the rural area, in their own village itself. So for that, the one is the major source of MGNREGA job card creation, the MGNREGA works, and other one is the distress coping mechanism is also very important when we want to promote the rural livelihoods. So here the skill orientation trainings, and at the same time we have seen that because of this we have seen earlier the farmer suicides in our country because of lack of the yielding and all, because of a drought and all. The agriculture and allied sectors have given the minimum yields, the unassured minimum yields. So all these have pushed the farmers suicides a lot, and we have seen the problem. So apart from the economic aspects, there are psychological aspects that also we have to address when we are talking about the rural livelihoods and the impact of socio-economic conditions. So first of all, this distress, we have to curtail this distress by improving the mental well-being among the people, particularly in terms of providing the advisories, in terms of generating the awareness about the available schemes, and also the generating the awareness in terms of the livelihood opportunities and also the skill-based trainings. And this is the biggest challenge, particularly when we are talking about this physical distancing and all, when this contagious disease is spreading and it is going to be outburst in coming months. This is a prediction. In June, July, August, there may be more number of cases in the rural areas also. So under these conditions, we have to see this particular problem from all corners, not only from the economic point of view, but psychological and sociological point of view also. All these inputs have to be taken care in a planning, and also a lot of awareness has to be generated, and the actual and factual information has to be given to the people, rural people, and we have to equip themselves. And at the same time, we have to see that the local available economic resources and the livelihood options we have to search and we have to create. That is the only one option. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So there is another question to you, is that from Anandita Mujumdar. My question is how the rural economy can be improved after that. So, like, what are the steps and mitigation steps that can be, directing us towards improvement of economic health in the rural sectors?
Yes. In the rural economy, if you see, particularly when I quote the examples from the Telangana and all, in the rural economy, agriculture and allied sectors are, if you see the rural areas, the small and marginal farmers number is very high. So the land holding capacity is very low. So under this given situation, and also vis-a-vis the pandemic situation. So we have to see that the rural artisan communities and also the space we are creating for them to participate in the workforce has to be motivated a lot, and also at the same time we have to tap the available resources and we have to engage them in different allied activities. Then only the livelihood promotion will take place. So most of the time the rural youth, when they are migrated from the urban areas, and particularly in this reverse migration situation, they do not have the skill sets. The skill set matching is one of the biggest challenge. So when they are accustomed to live in the urban areas, now they cannot live a comfortable life in the rural areas and adjusting to the rural livelihood options. That is also one of the important thing. And where the welfare schemes like PDS, the outreach of the public distributory system, and also the another scheme, now this post lockdown situation the government has announced, and also the state and central government are also should come out with a large scale supporting mechanism, particularly to the farmers. Then only these livelihood options can be created and it can be sustained. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So the next one is not a question basically,
Hello.
but it is an address by Majid Farooq to Jyoti sir. He has given an that he what he believes that government should have planned in the following manner. The number one, he has said that allow the migrant laborers to stay where they were, divert the Manrega fund to secondly divert the Manrega fund to respective state for follow up. Thirdly, divert the same amount of urban area by creating a new scheme for urban areas. And then the change of COVID transmission should have been the minimized, and pain caused to the migrants could have been lesser if these steps were followed. This is given by Majid Farooq, a PhD scholar from C3WR, and this address was given to Jyoti sir. So any take on this, sir?
Yeah, yes, of course, I have some take on this. At the beginning of my presentation, I mentioned Narega is not so flexible like other rural development programs. Narega is a statutory program and it's implemented as a scheme, it's an act. So there are certain things we have to comply with the act. That's one thing. And stay migrants wherever they are. It's very good idea. There's no issue with that. There are some places in India you see that they are staying there. The government is also providing all facilities, including the SIM card and the TV recharging, to stay. That I have seen many places. Some places you see a panic situation. They just want to go back. They don't know where they will get the work. So it's a differential kind of scenario you see across country, and there's no uniform thing. But people always love to go back to their home and get something, and they feel comfortable. As Dr. Vijay Kumar mentioning that the fear that is the main thing. They just wanted to go back. Narega providing employment to migrants wherever they are. It may not be that easy because they will not be having a job card in that place, and it is a statutory program and all. So diverting that may not be feasible. Providing employment within migrants, but once they are in their village, they may be entitled to get that if they have a job card. And urban programs are already functioning in a few states. I can give you an example. There is a program in Kerala state. It's meant for unskilled manual labor in urban areas. It is a right-based program. If anybody is not there, the job is not there, they can ask the urban municipality and get the job. It's exactly equivalent to Narega, but it's a state-specific program. And that's an urban scheme. And COVID control, I think, my opinion, they should be in their home right now. They should be taken to their home. The situation is going to be very bad. I think in June, July, that's what the predictions are showing. Once they're back, they will be comfortable, at least psychologically, and they should get their work there. Even I found the last week from Kerala state, they were providing many facilities, but still people wanted to walk back. That's a tendency to go back. That's a human nature. So I stop here. That's my opinion, actually. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Any more questions from any of the present participants?
Yeah, this is Dr. Suraj. I had a question from both the speakers, guests, whether this is the right time to create a smart village concept. Generally, the problem what we feel is more kind of urbanization to a particular area or domain. So, can we come up with more kind of a smart village and urbanization of new identification of new sectors where the investment can be done in rural areas for increasing the economy of the farmers, because 70% of the persons in India are dependent on farmers. So whether this is the right time to have some kind of development, especially in rural areas, so that the migration can be stopped. From both the speakers, I would like to know.
Yes, Dr. Suraj. Last week, in fact, I was. Yes, Dr. Suraj. Last week, in fact, I was listening. The retired IAS officer Vijayanand was the chief secretary of Kerala. He's a good understanding on this local economic development, and he was mentioning about the Sri Abdul Kalam's program, the Pura program, and how to link the nearby towns, and also the re-establishing the supply chain back. That may be the first step. I think that's a good starting point, the Pura program. One has to start there and think more on what you are saying and how to go ahead with a smart situation. So doing the broken supply chains, that's what he was mentioning. So I just got him here, Professor Vijay Kumar may be having some other point. And
Kumar sir.
Yeah, am I audible?
Second. Yeah.
Am I audible? Yeah. So
Yes,
as
sir.
rightly pointed out by our Professor Jyoti Satyapalan, Pura is one of the important component where this provision of urban amenities in the rural areas. Apart from that, the rural youth, particularly, if you see under Deen Dayal Upadhyaya Gramin Kaushal Yojana, we have done that. The aspirations of the rural youth, the workforce, those who are coming now, through this reverse migration, when they're coming from the urban areas to rural areas, their aspirations are not much high. The aspirations are very, very low. They are contented with only 5 to 10,000 rupees per month. They are happily leading their life. So particularly to boost this rural economy, we have to map under this Gram Panchayat development plan, GPDP, has to be integrated from all agricultural and allied sectors, and also the livelihood provisions has to be incorporated into GPDP, and the local level employment scenarios has to be promoted, like piggery, fishery, and also other allied activities like the toddy topping, and also the other artisan activities like other artisan communities. We have to promote them. So the local available employment opportunities has to be strengthened through proper planning and integrating with the GPDP by visualizing the Pura concept. That will be the best sustainable solution to promote the rural livelihoods. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. There's another question from Dr. Karambi Singh. He's asking the farmers living in the village do farming and farming for their livelihood. How can they increase their livelihood by cultivating the old ways, continuing with the old ways, and can development take place inside the village right now at the present scenario? Can it be happening? Yes, sir.
Hello.
so a question of food security and nutrition and agriculture must be modernized in many places. I agree with his view. Also, the supply chain has to be strengthened. The better marketing, and from MNREGA point of view, Lots of infrastructure they created to improve the hats, rural hats, the small marketplaces. That's also happening. The government of India is taken lots of initiative to improve those infrastructure, and SSP also linked with MKSP programs. It is promoted for women, who are from SSGs and all. So modernization is important. I think given we need food, there's no doubt. Thank you. Dr. Vijay Kumar, if you have a point, please.
Yeah. Here, another important aspect is the self-help. The concept of self-help has to be promoted. The self-help groups have to be roped in creation of these livelihoods, particularly the work participation among the women has to be improved a lot. One of the important aspect of livelihood option could be the health and hygiene, promotion of health and hygiene, the preparation of sanitary products in the villages by the self-help groups that can be created and that can be marketed to the urban areas. This is also one of the important aspect now during this COVID and post-lockdown situation. These sanitizers. So now the availability of sanitizers is very, very low. So the one can take up this kind of activities as a livelihood options, and that can be promoted through self-help group women for accommodating the majority of the youth in the rural areas. One way we can promote the health and hygiene, and another way we can create the livelihood access. Like this, backward and forward linkages has to be established through these social and economic institutions in the villages. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hello.
Thank you so much.
Hello.
Any
Hello.
more
I have
questions?
another question.
Yes.
Yeah, I have got another question from both the speakers. Right now, we are talking more about online education system, but generally in rural India, the villagers and the farmers are not capable enough and don't have a smartphone. So, how this online education system will be beneficial for the children of the farmer? How would they will be educated? Any schemes of government? Any plans regarding online education for rural India?
Online education and this aspect, if you see, now the teachers, the schools and the teachers, they are in a transition stage. Now they are transiting from face-to-face education to this online education. So that itself is a stressful situation for the teachers, not only for the teachers, for both the children also. And at the same time, for the farmers, if you want to create awareness and if you want to educate the farmers through this online education, this is the biggest challenge. One is the availability of the online resources. Another one is the connectivity problem, the bandwidth problem, and the Digital India program. Now they are looking into all these challenges. Now they wanted to create a wider coverage in the rural areas. Let us hope for the best. This transition will be taken place in a smoothful manner, and it can be used as a online resources for educating the farmers and the rural youth, particularly to train the rural youth in their own villages. Here we would like to refer one of the important developmental initiative took place in Sri Lanka. If you see the Sri Lanka, in Sri Lanka there was a movement, social movement in 50,000 villages. That movement was created by a secondary school teacher, where he has created in each village there are knowledge kiosks, and these knowledge kiosk centers are providing the information at the doorstep to all the villages and covering all the stakeholders, right from the youth, women, and the elderly people, including all the occupations like farmers and other employees. And through these kiosks, they are identifying some trades, skilled trades, and they are imparting the skill trainings through these kiosks in the villages. So such kind of experiments have to be replicated in India also. And India, there is a viable environment is there, and we have to replicate such kind of successful experiments. And we have to see that this transition from face-to-face education to online education will takes place in a successful way, in a smooth way. And in turn, we have to empower this rural youth and also the rural people to overcome the burden of the COVID and all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any more questions from any of the participants? Okay, so now I will close the question and answers round, and I would request Dr. Varun Narayan Mishra to continue with his presentation on the topic of role of geoinformatics in rural planning during COVID-19 lockdown. Varun, sir.
Thank you, Priyanka. My voice is audible?
Yes, sir, it is audible.
Okay. Sorry for inconvenience due to some technical issues. Myself, Dr. Varun, and now I'm going to present my talk on the role of geoinformatics in rural planning during COVID-19. So, before starting, as we know that the lockdown has been started from 25th March, and that has affected the lives and livelihoods across the rural India as well as urban area. And the agriculture sector and the allied sectors to the agriculture that employs more than 50% of the workforce in India are largely affected by this lockdown. And another major problem during this lockdown was appeared that the Rabi crop that is stood ready for the harvest in many fields is in crisis during this COVID-19 pandemic and lockdown. So there are several impacts of this COVID-19 lockdown on rural area. First, it is the spreading of COVID-19 lockdown disrupted the activities in India, not in urban area as well as in rural area. It stopped all the economic, all the social activities around the India and other country of the world. And also the major impact of this COVID-19 is the interruption in the supply chain. The farmers that they prepare some products like milk and other vegetables, that the supply chain is interrupted, and that leads to the financial crisis for the farmers. They are those are mainly dependent on this supply chain products. And one major thing is that in country like India, where most of the workforce are working in the unorganized sectors, are facing very serious problems during this lockdown, because most of the workers from the rural area of the country are working in unorganized sectors. So these unorganized sectors due to lockdown are stopped working, and there is a economical problems for most of the rural workers in India. So there are another impacts of COVID-19 pandemic on livelihoods and food security. It reduces the loss of remittances. It limited seasonal migration. There's a loss of reduction of subsistence activities, income activities. There is also increase of household expenditure due to this lockdown. So there are several impacts of this COVID-19 on the livelihood and food security of Indian states, including urban as well as rural. So what is the lacking? Where is it is lacking? The first major lack is that the healthcare facilities. As WHO, according to WHO, there should be a one doctor for every 1,000 people. But in India, the scenario is that there are one doctor per 10,189 people. So there is a major concern in the healthcare sector. And the second problem is there is a 12% deficiency of primary healthcare centers as well as 50% of the community healthcare centers across the rural India. So the major problem that rises due to this COVID-19 and the lockdown is the healthcare facilities. And most of the rural workers are daily basis workers, means they earn daily and they use it for their livelihood. So it causes the severe problem for rural workers. And another most important आवाज नहीं आ रही?
Now it's coming, sir.
हेलो.
Continue.
Now it's coming.
Your voice is coming. Continue.
Actually, sir, there is electricity loss in our center. Electricity. There was no
Okay.
electricity. So,
Okay.
may I continue? Yeah.
Continue.
Yeah. So, I am talking about the lacking. Where the lack? Where are the problems comes rise? Actually, the problems are pre-existed, but the problems comes to the scenario during this lockdown. The first problem was the healthcare facilities. Second problem was the lack of healthcare community centers, and most of the rural workers are majority daily basis workers. And another major lack during this lockdown that comes to rise is the lack of the accurate location of highly affected rural areas. Means the rural areas that are highly affected are not identified in a precise manner. So this is another important aspect that needs to study, and it will help us to fight this pandemic. So how the technology can be used to overcome this problem? Geoinformatics, as all we know that geoinformatics is a technology that is composed of three different techniques like GPS, remote sensing, and GIS. Using this technology, we can easily identify and locate the more highly affected rural areas, and we can provide the facilities in that rural area. So, in informatics, the most important factor is the spatial data, the location, the geographic features that are represented by the two types of data, that is spatial data and not spatial data, that is attribute data. When we are talking about the geographic feature, all the geographic features in the world are represented by point line polygon features, and the characteristics of the features are non-spatial data, whereas the location of the objects, location of the features are known as spatial data. So there are two components of geographic features. First one is spatial data, second one is non-spatial data. It can also be known as attribute data. So there are a large amount of geographic data is available. There are a large amount of geographic data is available from various satellite sensors, various sources. All the data sets that are available are having two types of characteristics. One is spatial and second one is non-spatial data. And these data sets are stored in various formats, like databases. There are different file formats, so we can store the data sets in different formats. And the data sets, like the geographic data sets, are used to generate different types of reports and graphs that are stored in well-defined formats. We can use just these geographic data sets to create any type of map, any type of graph for locating a location, for locating a highly affected rural area. The combination of different types of reports, graphs, are a tool of any management information system. The management information system is the collection of hardware and software of any organization. It is a backbone of an organization, and the management information system retrieves the information from various sources, like other secondary data sources from various websites, from various other organizations, and we compile all the data sets in using the management information system. So the management information system is basically used to decision making, basically used for decision making and to create, to prepare some policy, to take some decision on the problem. And this management information system becomes the part of e-governance, because we are talking about digital India, we are talking about the digitalization of all the data sets. So there is a term that is known as e-governance. E-governance can be improved by the effective use of management information system. But with the advantages of geoinformatics techniques, there are several disadvantages, there are several challenges that comes to rise in this geoinformatics techniques. First is the different data sources are having the same attributes, means data redundancy. Data redundancy is the major problem in geoinformatics. Multiple organizations, several organizations are working on the same feature. They are creating their own data set of the same area, so it creates the data redundancy, data duplicacy. So the different data sets can be prepared from different organizations and having the same attribute, so it creates some data redundancy. So we have to avoid this data redundancy. And another challenge is drawing the inferences on tabular data is a bit time taking. Mostly the data sets are stored in tabular format. So using the tabular data, you cannot create some inferences, you cannot create a map. So for creating some informative map, for creating some different maps, you need to use some techniques, some mapping techniques that is provided by the geoinformatics, and the absence of the same volume on common attributes. These are the major challenges that is faced in spite of having different advantages of geoinformatics. Sometimes, as I had discussed earlier, sometimes similar work can be done by different departments due to the absence of common data repository. There is no any scheme of interoperable scheme. There is no interoperable scheme to share the data sets between different departments. Multiple departments are working on the same data sets. So there is a lack of the interoperable data scheme. Many times it is also felt that there is potential differences in the actual requirement and the schemes formulated by the government. So it should also be avoided during the implementation of any rural development or any rural planning activities. So now we are going to discuss about the role of geoinformatics in e-governance. Basically, the government prepares different plans, different schemes that are dependent on the data sets required from the tables and graphs for development. But that data sets are having data redundancy, data duplicacy. So for having the very informative e-governance technique, we should reduce the regional discrepancies. Means we should avoid the problems arise due to the data operability due to the data redundancy. And this can also be depicted on maps in better way. So we can represent our tabular data in the form of maps in a better way using geoinformatics. Geographical position of any location on the earth surface, any location on the real world, any location in the urban area or rural area can be visualized in a better way using GIS. You know the location of any highly affected area by corona, but you need to locate that area and you need to visualize that area on the map. So for this kind of activities, we need a technique that is known as geographical information system. So geographical information system facilitates us to visualize the data, visualize the location of affected areas in a very efficient manner. And the integration of GIS with management information system is required for facilitating good and better governance. You can say it's a e-governance. So there is a initiative of the government of Uttar Pradesh known as Srishti. Srishti is basically a village information system. It is a web-based GIS framework. It is governed by the government of Uttar Pradesh. So I will talk about this Srishti. This is a web-based GIS framework, and the information that is collected using this framework will be very useful for providing necessary health facilities, for providing basic amenities to the highly affected areas, to the people of that area. So this Srishti is basically started in 2009 by the National Informatics Center of the government of Uttar Pradesh. Okay, in this scheme, the village polygons are digitized, are mapped, because when we are talking about rural development, so we need to have the information up to village level. So in this scheme, the village polygons that are the smallest unit of our society need to map, and we can zoom in and identify the different informations related to that village map. In Srishti, in this scheme, the polygons for different blocks, tehsil, districts, divisions, and states have been generated by clumping the village boundary polygons. First we identify village boundary polygons using different image processing or different GIS techniques, and we clump all the village boundaries into a polygon having the blocks, tehsils, districts, and divisions of any state. It is very easy. This technique is very easy and quick to update, because when we use GIS technique, we can easily update our existing data set. Suppose there is a village and there is village in 2020, and if there are some type of developmental activities are going there, and we need to add this information to existing village map, so we can easily and quickly update our existing village map using some new information, using some new infrastructural development. This is the website of Srishti GIS based portal. Here there are different districts of Uttar Pradesh state are displayed. By clicking on a specific district, you can have the all information, all the village level information of that district. So, but for this, you need to have some registration. You need to register yourself on this website so you can visualize the village level information of a specific district. It provides the seamless map generation of districts from block level, tahsil level, village level, and WGS84 datum was used for all the layers. It is very simple to use. Like we can easily zoom in, zoom out. You can also use pan tool using these maps. In these maps, you can easily identify specific village boundary, specific village to have the information about the village, like total population, total number of male, total number of females, total number of electrified households, total number of schools and all other amenities. So all the information, like first we need to know that all the geographic features are identified by point line polygon. So point information are linked with the non-spatial data. When you want to locate some specific village, so you need to have some point information, and in that point information, its non-spatial data sets are also linked, having all the information of that village. The map is generated by on the fly based on the parameter selection, and it is easy to overlay with another layer on the same datum. So you can use different layers at a time having the same datum to provide to improve the information about that village. All the spatial data that are stored for that specific village is based on the relational database management system. All the data sets, all the village information are stored in the form of tables, and you can create a relation between different data sources, different tables for better data management. And you can integrate the different layers of a village with non-spatial data. Means you can integrate spatial data and non-spatial data for specific purpose, for a specific application. The integration of GIS survey, you can also add the ground data with that database, with that spatial data. And the dynamic generation of the legends and map headings, you can create legends, you can create map using different facilities available on that portal. It is a web-based GIS application, so most of the work comes under done by Srishti is on website. You can access that data. You can visualize that data with minimum cost. Okay, village search. You can easily search a village. Suppose if you want to provide some health facilities to highly affected coronavirus village, so you can easily search information Srishti portal, and then you can also look the village in
बोल ना प्रियंका को.
Hello.
Yeah, you're audible. There seems some technical issue. So Varun, presentation may be concluded and then you can continue further. And please ask Varun to stop his sharing.
Yes, sir. Sir, am I audible, sir?
Yes, yes.
Thank you, Varun sir, for giving us the how technology, new technology, and how the platform of GIS can be used for solving the issues at rural level. Thank you for giving this information for all the participants. It has been a very enlightening session. Now, I would request Mr. Pranay to give his vote coordinate. Hello. Hello. Now I would
Yeah,
like
you're
to call
audible.
up. Yes. Now I would like to call upon Mr. Pranay to give his speech on the way it was coordinated and conclude the summary, conclude the session for the day.
Thank you, Priyanka Roy. First of all, I would like to thank all the experts for the lecture, formative lecture. I am Pranay Utain. I am here to summarize the session. Our session is Professor Palan from RDPR. Sir is talking mainly about the Manrega scheme, that is Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employability Guarantee Act. And sir is some explain how this program in the current scenario, that is the scenario, how we are implemented this scheme using a social distancing norm. Then sir is explain also about how the agriculture and that Manrega scheme will be linked up. Then this program is useful for the rural development, and now we are needing to develop our rural sector. For this program is very helpful. Then sir is also discuss about the issues with some issues with the Manrega scheme, like labor budget and implementing some strategies for the in the COVID-19 scenario, and then some issues regarding the speedy job card is essential. Is going to means we are facing the some urgency of the job card for all the labor. So there is also on the how this job card is essential to provide the jobs to all the labor. Thank you, sir, for such a important and informative lecture. Then next second lecture is by Dr. T. Vijay Kumar from NIRDPR from NERC Guwahati. Sir, topic is of Dr. Vijay Kumar is the impact of COVID-19 on rural livelihood. Sir, is explain about how the COVID-19 will impact on a people's psychological psychology. Like everyone is thought about the whatever fever and all are there is of COVID-19. So this is a very truth about that. We are also thinking same for the that if any fever and all that we are thinking that this is the COVID-19 symptom, but this is a psychological response of human being. Then sir is also explain that how to respond this situation by self acceptance, positive personal growth. Then psychological, what is the effect of psychological effect of quarantine, isolation, and all. Then what the financial losses during the COVID-19, and that is a long lead. We will also facing this COVID-19 impact. Also, there is also showing some statistic about the urban and rural situation, where most of the cases is from the urban area or rural area. It to be not impacted by this COVID-19. Most of the cases is from the urban areas. Also, the sir is also explain the issue about the migration, whatever the migration we are seeing on a TV and all the migration issue which impact the demographic situation of the rural region. Thank you, sir, for such a wonderful lecture given by you. Third one is third lecture is given by Dr. Varun Narayan Mishra from Center for Climate Change and Water Research. The topic for Dr. Varun Narayan Mishra is geoinformatics for planning of rural area during the COVID-19. Dr. Varun Narayan Mishra is explain the what the impact of the COVID-19 on us, our India as well as worldwide, and how the geoinformatics means GIS and remote sensing is useful for mitigating this all the COVID-19 scenario. What is the effect? What is the different type of images, satellite images, GPS, and what is the other techniques which will be useful for mitigating and fight against this corona pandemic. There is also giving the information about the Srishti, which one of the program run by UP government. Or this is a village information system program running by UP government. How this program is helpful for all of us for development and planning about this COVID during this COVID-19 and the role of the GIS to that Srishti program. Thank you very much, sir, for giving the role of giving the wonderful and expert opinion about the geoinformatics on the that your geoinformatics role in a COVID-19 situation. This session is followed by the question and answer session, which was the very wonderful one. All the question will be answered by expert. This part is, I think, very fascinating one. Thank you all. Thank you to all the expert and also participants.
मैं बोल रहा हूँ. Hello. We will have a photo session, so please ask the participants to please turn on their videos. We'll have a group photograph. So, sir, it's humble request.
All the participants are requested to turn on your video. So we have photographs, group photographs for this session. Please turn on
camera,
your
please. Turn on your cameras. All the participants are requested to turn on their cameras so that we can have a group photograph, and it will be memory forever in our life that in this crucial and this lockdown situation also we all are connected, and we are thankful to the organizers and to the speakers that they have provided us such an informative session. So please turn on your cameras, please. Risha, please take the photographs. Please turn on your cameras. Please turn on your cameras. It's a humble request. Please turn your cameras.
I've taken, sir.
Okay, Priyanka, you may continue. Priyanka.
Okay, thank you, Pranay sir. Thank you, Suraj sir. So now I take this opportunity to thank on behalf of entire. Sir, am I audible? Hello?
Yeah.
Am I audible?
You're
Hello?
audible. Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah.
Is my voice
Continue.
coming?
Yeah.
There is some technical issue. Just a minute, sir. Okay, now, okay. Yes.
No, your voice is not. Myself, Dr. Suraj Kumar Singh, on behalf of Center for Climate Change and Water.
Okay, I'll continue. I take to thank on entire team, Center for Climate Change and Water, Professor on giving a speech on. Hello?
Yeah, I am speaking. Priyanka, you will please leave. I will provide the vote of thanks.
No voice.
On behalf of Center for Climate Change and Water Research,
Right,
myself,
right,
Dr.
sir.
Suraj Kumar Singh,
आवाज आ रही
thanks
है?
to all the participants, all the speakers from NIRD, especially our eminent guest, Dr. Kilan Jalim, senior faculty in NIRD department, who provided us the contact and the link for this valuable talk. Thanks to all the faculty members of Center for Climate Change and Water Research. Thanks to Suresh Gyan Vihar University to provide a platform where eminent scientists, scholars, professor, assistant professor, research scholars joined and had a real interaction with the real knowledge about how to come with a solution, especially related to rural India, because our economy, our food chain is all dependent on rural India. That's why it's very important to discuss and have some findings, some solution towards this condition so that we can have a better India, a bright India. And from behalf of my heart, stay blessed, stay at home, maintain social distancing, and that's all from Suresh Gyan Vihar University. Thanks a lot for sparing your time. Have a good day. Thanks a lot. And officially, we are closing the session.
Yes, sir. Feedback form will be provided in your
Yes,
mail.
officially.
Yeah.
And all the feedback forms will be provided in the mail. You have to fill up the feedback form for your certification. Within 10 minutes, you will get that link. You have to fill that form, and all the participants will get a e-certification. Thanks a lot.
All the participants also, if you want to take a photograph, you can find this photograph on our Suresh Gyan Vihar University Facebook page. You can download from this that page. We will uploading soon.
Yeah.
And also, if you want to see the video, we will see send you the link, YouTube link for the same in your Gmail. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Now I will end the meeting.
Yes.